The movie starts with a search party looking for two missing people in the woods. During the search, their two dogs wander into an underground cave and drink from a pool of water. Soon after, the dogs start acting strangely. Later that night, their owner hears noises coming from the kennel. When he checks, he sees that the two dogs have somehow fused together. Then the scene shifts to a couple. At their going-away party, Millie proposes to Tim, but he hesitates to say yes, leaving her embarrassed. Then Millie and Tim move to the countryside for Millie's new job as an elementary school English teacher. Tim was a musician who has been distant since the death of his parents. At school, Millie meets her coworker Jamie, who is friendly and tells her that he lives near their home. He invites her to visit with Tim anytime. One morning, while hiking in woods near their new home, they reach a dead end, but Tim finds a strange path with bells hanging from trees. They keep walking, but a sudden rainstorm causes them to lose their way. While trying to find a path, Tim falls into a cave. Millie tries to pull him out, but both end up falling inside. It turns out to be the same cave shown earlier. They decide to stay there overnight. While thirsty, Tim drinks from the pool inside. They manage to light a fire, and Tim recalls a disturbing memory of finding his mother with his father's decaying body. Tim has a bad dream, but Millie wakes him up. The next morning, they wake up to find their legs stuck together. Shocked, they manage to separate them with some pain and ignore the incident. When they leave the cave, their legs are shown to be bruised from the separation. Tim and Millie come out of the cave and return home. After freshening up, Millie asks Tim to massage her shoulder. Tim starts massaging, but he does it in a strange way, pressing so hard that Millie's shoulder begins to hurt. She pushes him away and says she's going to the market, telling Tim to take a shower and get some rest. Tim goes to shower but behaves oddly. Later, he visits a doctor, who gives him some medicine, and tells him that a couple who used to live in that area had mysteriously disappeared. Tim then returns home. That night, Jamie comes to their house. They invite him inside and the three have dinner together. Millie and Tim tell Jamie about the cave. Jamie explains that there used to be a church there long ago. As Jamie is about to leave, he hugs Millie, which makes Tim jealous. After closing the gate, Tim suddenly kisses Millie, but during the kiss, their lips stick together. When they finally pull apart, both of them feel pain in their lips. Millie gets angry and says, "If you don't want to kiss, then don't, but don't bite." She storms off. That night, while they are sleeping, Millie feels like Tim is lying on her hair. She asks him to move, but he doesn't respond. When she turns around and switches on the light, she is shocked to see that Tim has her hair in his mouth. The hair is stuck deep in his throat, making it hard for him to breathe. After a struggle, the hair finally comes out and Tim can breathe again. Both are shaken by the incident. The next morning, he packs his equipment to go to a show. Millie tells him that he doesn't seem well, but Tim insists on going. Millie drives him to the station. At the station, as he waits for the train, he begins to feel strange again. Meanwhile, Millie is at school when she notices Tim standing outside through the window. She rushes down to him and takes him into the washroom because he doesn't look well. Tim kisses her, and she kisses him back. They love each other, but suddenly they find themselves stuck together. Just then, they hear someone approaching from outside. After several attempts, they still can't separate. Millie forcefully pushes Tim, causing him intense pain. Meanwhile, a little boy outside notices that his teacher, Millie, might be in some kind of trouble. He quickly brings Jamie with him to check on her and they both enter the washroom. When Millie comes out, Jamie comments that she must have been in a hurry. As Jamie is leaving, he notices blood on Millie's thighs and also spots Tim's leg inside the toilet stall. Later, they return home, and Millie angrily tells Tim that because of him, she might lose her job. She then goes to Jamie's house, suspecting that he might have figured out what was going on. Millie apologizes to Jamie, but he says, "It's okay, it's a girl thing," and invites her inside. They talk for a while, but then Millie sees Tim standing outside through a window. She quickly says goodbye and leaves. That night, Tim is checking some emails sent by his bandmates. He calls out to Millie, but when there's no response, he goes to the bedroom and finds her asleep. He apologizes quietly and returns to his workroom. Suddenly, he hears a noise behind him. He sees Millie acting strangely behind the door. Tim is frightened but opens the door, and Millie falls onto him. She is moving in a strange, unnatural way and seems to be in a trance. He calls her name and shakes her, but she doesn't respond. Finally, he slaps her to bring her back to consciousness. Millie wakes up, and both of them are shocked. They sit down to talk, and Tim tells Millie that something is seriously wrong with them and that they should return to the cave because everything started from there. Millie doesn't believe him and angrily says it's better if they stay apart. They decide to sleep in separate rooms. That night, Tim wakes up and notices his body crawling and being pulled. toward Millie's room on its own. He struggles to stop himself, but Millie's door opens and her body, also moving against her will in twisted, unnatural motions, comes toward him. Their hands touch and their bodies fuse together in a strange and unsettling way. Millie and Tim's hands get stuck together. Tim asks Millie to bring the muscle relaxant medicine, and both of them take it before passing out. The next morning, Tim wakes up and finds himself tied to a chair. Millie tells him she is sorry for not trusting him and explains that the only way to separate is by cutting the skin between their hands. Tim refuses at first, but when he feels movement in his hand again, he agrees. Millie then uses an automatic cutter to cut through their joined skin. After that, they apply medicine and bandage the wound. Millie says they should go to the hospital, but Tim insists they should return to the cave. Millie remembers she might have left car keys at Jamie's place. She goes there to get them while Tim quietly takes some essentials from home and heads to the cave. At Jamie's house, Millie calls out to him but gets no reply. She hears the sound of a TV and follows it, only to see a video playing that shows Jamie and his boyfriend performing strange and creepy rituals inside a church. Meanwhile, Tim reaches the cave and notices strange markings and even human faces on the walls. Soon a bizarre creature approaches him. It looks like two people physically merged together. Shocked, Tim tries to move back at Jamie's house. Jamie suddenly appears behind Millie. He tells her how beautiful this is and cuts her hand with a ring blade, making her bleed. He tells Millie she should also become one like them. Millie pushes him away and runs. In the cave, Tim falls, and his hands get stuck to the ground. The creature moves closer. Struggling, Tim pulls out a knife stuck in the creature's neck and cuts its fingers. He manages to free himself and escapes from the cave. Later, he returns home and finds Millie arriving as well. They stand apart from each other. Tim apologizes and tells Millie he loves her. He places a knife at his throat, ready to kill himself, but then notices blood pouring from Millie's hand before she collapses. Tim holds her and sees that her hand was badly cut and bleeding. Millie tells him he doesn't need to kill himself before passing out. The scene shifts and Millie wakes up on the sofa. She sees her hand joined with Tim's hand again. Tim explains that this was the only way to stop her bleeding. He tells her they have no other choice. They kiss, take off their clothes, and embrace each other as their bodies start merging together. The scene shifts again, showing new neighbors arriving at their house. When the door opens, a person appears whose face looks like both Tim and Millie combined. In reality, their bodies had become one, and with this, the movie ends. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel Story Cracks. We will be back soon with another new story.